This recording is for the Mini-Q Document 1 RACER paragraph response. So you should have already annotated this document. If you haven't, go back and watch the video from yesterday that helps you annotate this document. So now that we've annotated everything, our goal here is to answer this question here. How does this document explain why Islam might have spread so quickly? Support your answer using text evidence. Something that we need to remember is anytime we see the words text evidence, that means we are writing what's called a RACER paragraph. As a reminder, here's what RACER means. It would probably be a good idea for you to write this comment on your document as well. So anytime we see the phrase text evidence, we know in our brains that we are writing a RACER paragraph. The R stands for restate the question. A stands for answer the question. That's going to be our topic sentence. C is for cite evidence. E is explain evidence. And the final R is rephrase topic sentence. So, according to our RACER structure, we need to first restate the question. When I say restate the question, I'm referring to this question here. How does this document explain why Islam might have spread so quickly? So you need to first think, how can we take that question and transform it into a topic sentence? I'll give you a hint. It'll have the word because in it. One way we can do this is by saying, document 1 explains how Islam might have spread so quickly because. So we are taking the question and transforming it into a sentence starter. Document 1 explains how Islam might have spread so quickly because. Then we need to, according to our RACER structure, answer the question. So take a look back at this document and ask yourself, well, really, what was this document about? You don't want to give it all away in your topic sentence, but generally, this document was all about resources. It was all about how people had to fight in some way to get enough resources. So that's how we can answer that question. Document 1 explains how Islam might have spread so quickly because people had to fight to get enough resources. That's our topic sentence. So now we have restated, we have answered the question. Next up is citing evidence. When we cite evidence, we're looking for a direct quote. We also need to make sure that we are properly citing. So this quote is coming from document 1. So we can start by saying, document 1 states, comma, quotation mark. And then we need to go back into our document and find ourselves a direct quote. Now, we don't want it to be too long, and we want to make sure that it supports our topic sentence here. And our topic sentence is about how people had to fight to get enough resources. So we want to be on the lookout for a quote that supports that shows that people had to fight for resources. So if we go back into our document, we actually already have a lot of stuff highlighted, which is what we want to pay attention to. That's the point of highlighting. So I'm going to use the part of this sentence here that says Arabs had added to their inadequate resources by means of raids against other tribes. I'm not going to use the whole sentence because it's too long. And that piece of a sentence is enough to support my topic sentence that people were fighting for resources. So I'm going to retype that exactly as it is in the document. When you cite, when you quote, it needs to be an exact word for word from the document. So now we have cited evidence. Document 1 states, Arabs had added to their inadequate resources by means of raids against other tribes. Next up, we need to explain. So when we explain our evidence, this is where you are connecting how fighting to get enough resources helps explain how Islam might have spread. So we are trying to connect fighting to get resources to how Islam may have spread. Now, as I do this, I'm going to give you some guiding questions. Now, on your document, you don't need to write down the questions themselves, but rather think about that as me guiding you through and what you need to respond to in a sentence form for your paragraph. That's why I put them in brackets. So on your document, these should be sentences that answer these questions, not the questions themselves. So the first thing that you need to address in your explanation and write a sentence about is, why were people fighting for resources in the first place? Why did people need to fight for resources? Here you can talk about Arabia's harsh climate. You can talk about how there wasn't a lot of food or water to go around, how tribes often fought for those resources and attacked each other. You can talk about all of those things. The next thing you need to talk about is, how did all of that change once people became Muslim? So once people decided to become Muslim, how did this whole idea of getting resources change? Remember, once you were part of the Muslim community, they weren't allowed to attack each other anymore. Finally, you'll need to talk about how they solved their problem. You'll need to talk then about, how did the Muslim community get their resources? Remember, they decided that if a group of people were not Muslims, it was okay to still attack them to get their resources. As you are making your way through these 3 sentences here of your explanation, continue to go back and reference the document. You can only talk about things that are referenced in the document, making sure you're historically accurate. For example, there should be nothing in here that talks about how now they were going back and growing crops, or people were peacefully trading with others all around the Arabian Peninsula, because that's not exactly what our document is saying. If you need to, come back up to our document here, take a look at what we've highlighted, take a look at the comments that we left together to help you through this. Then finally, you need to rephrase your topic sentence. Our topic sentence is here. Document 1 explains how Islam might have spread so quickly because people had to fight to get enough resources. All we need to do is rephrase that to come up with a nice conclusion sentence. So we could say something like this. This shows how the need for resources helped to spread Islam so quickly. Once you've completed that, your entire paragraph is now done. Once again, as a reminder, the questions here in these brackets are meant as guiding questions for you. You don't need to write these questions down like this in your paragraph. Instead, in place of these, you should have one sentence for each question that addresses that topic. So please make sure that you're doing that in your own words, using the document to help you. Once you've completed all of that, proofread it, and then you can go ahead and submit.